Hi everyone, welcome to WION Live broadcast from New York City. I'm your host, Susan Tehrani. First, we're going to look at this hour's headlines and then get you our very first story. Hundreds of police and protesters are in a tense standoff at the University of California, Los Angeles, as unrest over Israel's war against Hamas in Gaza simmers on U.S. campuses. Israel's President Isaac Herzog slams U.S. universities for campus unrest over Israel's war in Gaza, saying these institutions are contaminated by hatred and anti-Semitism. Israeli War Cabinet will meet shortly to discuss the next steps in negotiations to achieve a hostage deal as hopes continue of an end to nearly 7 months of war between Israel and Hamas. Former U.S. President Donald Trump says that London opens its doors to jihad and promised not to let the same happen here in the United States. Beijing says that it would take necessary measures after the U.S. announced fresh sanctioning companies in China and elsewhere that help Moscow acquire weapons for its war in Ukraine. And schools and many offices closed across the United Arab Emirates as heavy rains returns to the desert country just 2 weeks after record downpours that experts linked to climate change. All right, let's start off with the campus protests here in the United States. They continue. The latest, the University of California, Los Angeles, is the flashpoint. Violent clashes have broken out between pro-Palestinian and counter groups. There's a massive police presence currently at the campus at UCLA trying to disperse the protesters who remain defiant. Police entered a protest encampment to disperse the pro-Palestinian protesters. It has been hours since the police is trying to restore calm, and for this, it has used flashbangs to strike fear among protesters. The camp has been the site of latest tensions. A number of arrests have also been made. Things escalated again overnight as counter-protesters attacked the encampment established by these pro-Palestinian demonstrators. People wearing masks and carrying Israeli flags tried to tear down the camp, assaulting students with pepper spray, sticks, stones, and metal fencing. Fireworks were also seen being launched into the camp and exploding. Demonstrators then rebuilt the makeshift camp barrier around their tents. The unrest lasted for several hours, and the police's role has now come under scrutiny. Police reportedly did not intervene on time, though there is a heavy police presence on campus. The officers who were on duty at the time of the clashes did not respond immediately. California Governor Gavin Newsom has criticized police's response and has asked for an explanation into why law enforcement has not acted sooner to quell the violence. Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump praised New York police response as they cleared the occupied Hamilton Hall at Columbia University on Tuesday. The former president criticized the intensifying protests at campuses and called these protesters as Hamas sympathizers. Take a listen.
Thank you, Wisconsin. To every college president, I say remove the encampments immediately, vanquish the radicals, and take back our campuses for all of the normal students who want a safe place from which to learn. But when you see that video of raging lunatics and Hamas sympathizers at Columbia and other colleges, no, but when you look at it, I say, where did these people come from? I don't know people like that. I mean, I deal with a lot of people. Where do they come from?
We are now being joined by Ray Locker, senior journalist, author, and columnist. He's joining us live from Washington, D.C. Ray, great to see you, and thanks for coming on this morning. So these campus protests seem to have caused some sort of bipartisanship, at least in Washington, to an extent. Is President Biden going to say something directly about these, and should he?
Well, he has said some things about, how the protesters have a right to protest, but they shouldn't be attacking Jewish students, which they shouldn't be. I don't know how much more involved he's going to get. I think these things are coming to an end as various universities, governors, and police forces are moving out to protesters. I mean, people have a right to protest. That's something that's been honored in our society for decades. But when protest crosses the line into attacking people based on their religion, not on their actions, that becomes a problem. And as we've seen in a lot of these protests, the protesters are attacking Jewish students because they're Jewish, not because of Israel or its actions. And that's become a major issue.
It really is a major issue, and I saw it firsthand at Columbia when I was reporting from there, yesterday at Fordham as well. I guess my next question is about the comment that you made, because I've talked to some guests who say that this is nowhere near over. Do you think that these protests are going to simmer down as we enter the summer?
Well, I think if you're inclined to go protest and you see what's happening in these places, you're going to think twice about it, or you're going to adjust your tactics. So I think as you see them getting cleared out, things are changing. Also in the summer, school is not in session, at least to the extent that it is now. That'll take some of the people out of the equation. And if we have some kind of resolution in the war in the Middle East, that'll help lower tensions somewhat.
Okay, well, we'll be following. Ray, it's always great to talk to you. Thank you for your insight.
Susan.
And I'll speak to you soon.
All righty.
Moving on, Russian forces are making their largest advance since the start of the war in eastern Ukraine. The advance comes at a time when Ukraine says that it's struggling to defend the front line, even as it waits for fresh ammunition approved by the United States. Russian forces have used the artillery drought that have hampered Ukraine's defense since December to push forward on the Eastern Front. Senior Ukrainian officials have warned of a possible threat to Kyiv's supply lines and hubs in the east that are now in the range of superior Russian firepower. Russia is now pushing towards three key areas: the vital military hub of Pokrovsk, west of Avdiivka, the strategic heights of Chasiv Yar near Bakhmut, and Kurakhove in the southeast. Russia has claimed another village near Avdiivka. The city was captured. Avdiivka was the city that it captured back in February. The gains for Russia are coming ahead of an anticipated Russian offensive in late May. The offensive could threaten Ukraine's presence in Donetsk and towards the occupied port city of Mariupol. Meanwhile, 14 people have been injured in the latest attack on the Black Port Sea of Odessa. Most of them needed hospitalization. The attacks took place inside a postal depot after a Russian ballistic missile was reported to have struck the facility. A video shared by local officials shows most of the loading area reduced to burnt debris. Odessa has been frequently targeted by Russian missiles in the past 2 days. 8 people have been killed. right, staying on with Russia, the United States has now accused Russia of using chemical weapons against Ukraine. Washington has pressed for fresh sanctions against Moscow over its violation of the international chemical weapons ban. The State Department has blamed Moscow of deploying the choking agent chloropicrin and even riot control chemicals as part of its warfare. The chemical has not been used in an isolated incident and is aimed at dislodging Ukrainian forces from fortified areas. The U.S. Treasury has tightened sanctions on Moscow. It has targeted at least 300 entities across Russia and China for supporting the former's invasion of Ukraine. At least 13 have been injured after a Russian missile struck Ukraine's city of Odessa on Thursday. The attack damaged civilian infrastructure in that city. This comes after two similar strikes earlier this week killed at least 8. Odessa, which is a vital Black Sea port for Ukraine, has come under attack frequently. Ukrainian artillery continues to run low on ammunition. All right, it's time to take a short break, but we have a fascinating story coming up for you after the break. We will discuss the mysteries of the universe, but listen to this. NASA has received a laser-coded message from deep space, 226 million kilometers away. What is behind this message? We have all the details. Welcome back, everyone. Are the aliens trying to communicate with us? If they do, how would they talk to us? Well, they could be sending messages that would be captured by big radio antennas. But recently, something amazing has happened. Our next report tells you how NASA has received a laser-coded message from deep space.
Are human beings alone in the universe? Are there extraterrestrial beings? And if they are trying to communicate to us, will they send a message through the immense depth of the interstellar space? Questions that have survived unanswered down the ages. Now, from 226 million kilometers away, NASA has just received a laser message. But don't you get carried away yet. It is not aliens. There's a simpler explanation. NASA's Psyche spacecraft transmitted the laser from its current location, 226 million kilometers away, in the asteroid belt between the planets Mars and Jupiter. In October 2023, NASA sent the space mission towards an asteroid, Psyche 16. The asteroid is primarily composed of metal, a rarity in our solar system. Going back to the deep space message, it is a remarkable feat of the communication technology. Aboard the Psyche spacecraft, shattering records, it has proved its capability in transmitting messages from deep space using lasers. While the spacecraft's primary communication system relies on radio frequency, the optical communications demo has showcased its potential as a game changer in deep space communication. This technology could enable future deep space missions to carry more sophisticated instruments and send back substantially more data to Earth than currently possible. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Moving on, in a recent Reuters Ipsos poll, it was revealed that a significant majority of Americans believe that TikTok is indeed being utilized by the Chinese government to influence public opinion here in the United States. The survey highlights a concerning perception among citizens regarding potential foreign interference through social media platforms. The poll reveals that 50% of Americans support the ban, while 32% oppose it. Concerns over data security and the alleged use of the app for political influence contribute to the divided opinions. Additionally, the survey reveals apprehensions regarding TikTok's role in espionage. 46% of respondents believe that China utilizes the app to spy on everyday Americans. Interestingly, the poll also indicates a notable partisan divide. Republicans are more inclined to view TikTok as a tool for Chinese influence compared to Democrats. TikTok, however, has vehemently denied these allegations, asserting that its commitment to data security and its independence from government influence is real. The company claims to have invested over $1.5 billion in data security measures and has stated that it does not comply with requests from the Chinese government to promote or remove content. But despite TikTok's assurances, the Biden administration has signed legislation that mandates ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok, to divest TikTok's U.S. assets within 270 days or face potential ban. Did you wake up late this morning? You may not be the only one. If you have an iPhone, that is, and your alarm